Good day, everyone. So hope you're all doing really well. Today is or was my birthday, depending on when you watch it, but only 27th of May is my birthday. And I think this is the once in a year opportunity for me to compare the different gacha games and how they treat you on your birthday. So, for example, as you can see in the background, Withering Waves just immediately flash a big cake at you with an Abby, which looking very, very chuffed with herself, and then you can start picking a unique character to wish you a happy birthday. So that's pretty cool. We're going to compare Withering Waves as it's playing here in the background against Genshin, Honkai Star Rail, and Honkai Impact Third, and just see what type of goodies we can get, and then talk about this in a bit of detail. So as you can see here, whilst the background plays of Ameth, I think Withering Waves kind of has a very good formula. You get a character that you really like to give you a birthday message. You can pick any other character to kind of give you a sense of their personalities and how they interact with you, which is pretty cool. But also they give you a special crown, which is an accessory that you can wear on your rover, which is your main character. They give you a bit of wave plates for farming, so that would be the equivalent of resin, but there are no astrites. There's no currency that's given to you on your birthday. So that's very interesting. Whereas I've noticed that Honkai Impact Third and Honkai Star Rail do give you currency, and also Genshin does not give you any currency. So that is something to keep at the back of your mind. One thing that I would like for these type of birthday type of effects would be something that is really personal, but then again, then you kind of open up the can of worms. How do you make something personal to 100 million players? Quite frankly, without using something like generative AI, it's kind of impossible. And even if you do use generative AI, it might not be the best result. So I think the formula that they've got going here is pretty cool. I think what's even cooler for me is the fact that not only can you read messages, but you can then pose with the characters, and it is kind of cute. So I think the thought here counts. I would have liked to see some in-game currency as a bit of a reward. I think it really would not hurt Kuro in any way. I mean, they've beaten Genshin in terms of the gacha monetization, so in terms of generosity, they could just push it a little further. But from a sentiment point of perspective, at least they're doing a hell of a lot more than the competition. Okay, so something interesting is just for Lova. If you read her birthday message, it's kind of super sad. And then there is the crown on the rover. Okay, so now let's go on to the other big game that I'm playing, Genshin Impact, and obviously Princess Fischl. It's her birthday. I share a birthday with Princess Fischl, and actually wanted to read her whole message here in a very obnoxious tone. And then I thought, yeah, people probably won't want to watch the video if I do that. But it's always funny reading Fischl stuff. I mean, I think Fischl is cool. Amy, which is her other name, Amy Fischl. Okay, I'm very happy, kind of happy that Fischl shares the same birthday. Wouldn't be the same as if Kokomi did it, but hey, it is what it is. Okay, so here is Genshin's birthday wish. It's a cake. This is the Natland cake, which is pretty okay. And then obviously if you open it, you get one resin. So you get less. It really is lacking in terms of making you feel special. It feels like the most corporate thing ever. Let me show you my birthday cakes. So I've got all 6 of them. Gosh, like playing Genshin for 6 years. Mondstadt, Leeway, Inazuma cake, Sumru cake, Fontaine cake, and now the Natland cake. So only next year we're going to get the Notcry cake. And yet we're going to Shnezhnaya soon. So kind of sad that my birthday is so late. But yeah, that's all you get for 6 years of playing. Kind of disappointing. I mean, I'm going to be honest. It's not that great of a look, and Genshin has had 6 years to make this a bit more special, if I'm going to be quite blunt. Okay, Honkai Impact Third, you get some currency and you get some stamina, which is pretty awesome. And then obviously you have a character here that you can always put on the bridge, and you can see here with Alicia, she actually does give you a happy birthday message, so that's pretty cool. This is a game that's older than Genshin Impact. And then finally Honkai Star Rail, they just give you some currency, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, not too bad. I think what I like about the Honkai series is that you actually get a bit of pull currency. And sometimes for some people, depending on their birthday, maybe they've wished for a character, that could be just a little extra pull that they need, combined with their dailies. But I know, it's kind of weird how Genshin comes from MiHoYo. And MiHoYo also obviously created, or Hoyoverse created, Honkai Impact Third and Honkai Star Rail, and they treat their players so differently. Just the fact that they're willing to give free currency is kind of like a big thing. And if they don't give free currency, I mean, at least give something that's sentimental, like you saw there with Amith, and I know Honkai Impact Third as well. I know those messages aren't personal messages, but the fact that at least there is an acknowledgement of your birthday other than just a simple pleasantry is kind of nice. To give you a bit of an example, IRL, you get a lot of companies that are going to be like, oh, thank you for being our insurance client, thank you for being your banking client, which is kind of cute, but you know it's just an automated system. But then you get your actual friends and family calling, and phone calls have been quite a bit today. But it's kind of nice to hear about people personalization, or just knowing that a bit of effort was put in on your part. That's always just like what's so cool. Because I mean, if you think about it, it's you work an entire year and you work for people, you make money, you spend it on friends and family, and that's just that one day where people actively make a choice to say, hey, you're kind of cool, thank you for being in your life, you know. So that is very, very nice about a birthday. It's just that bit of acknowledgement. And look, we know games are games. You know that games will never give you that level of personalization as we talked about earlier, but it is interesting just to see the different approaches. Some games are just like, well, shut up and take your currency or right. Other games at least try a bit. I think like Withering Waves have done it, and also in Honkai Impact Third you can also choose a different Valkyrie and they'll give you a slightly different message. So you at least get some sort of interaction, because remember, we're supposed to be playing and living with digital characters. The entire message that Dawei had when he first launched the Honkai Gakuen, I think, and tried to get investor funding, was to say, I want to create a universe where people can play with their favorite characters. And yet it's very interesting how that message, or that kind of like experience and promise that he had, is kind of born in to a certain extent in the Honkai games. I think Honkai Impact Third still gets the spirit of it, but the rest of the games are not as personal. And obviously Withering Waves has put their own touch on it. I always feel like Withering Waves it's just a step or a couple of notches above Genshin in terms of optimizing a lot of things, but we can talk about that in a separate video. But yeah, I just wanted to make this comparison. Let me know what you guys think about all of this. From a personal side, I think today was a very, very good and fun birthday. Obviously having it in the middle of the week is difficult because you can't always go out with people. They're also busy. So Saturday, that's when I'm going to go out and enjoy partying and stuff with people. So that's pretty cool. But then obviously the gifts and stuff and people calling was just really, really nice. But yeah, thank you so much then if you've been listening and watching until this point, and I hope you will have a lovely week further, and until we catch up then again in the next video, keep well. Cheers.